Stop judging women with high body counts. Monica Sello. The extremely unfair double standard of shaming women for having many sexual partners is unfortunately still prevalent in society. It's acceptable and encouraged for men to have as many sexual partners as they want, whilst women are shamed for it. It's 2024, for fuck's sake, not 1954. Can I just say, if I was a dude, I wouldn't want to have, like, lots of sex partners. Not to mention, like, even the most logical... How do I say it? Like, the most logical thing is to think about how you might be getting diseases from lots of partners. Like, lifelong diseases. It's your prerogative. If you want to, like, that's cool, man. I'm sick of men moaning about how unattractive women with high body counts are and how they aren't relationship material. But that's their opinion. They're allowed to have that. I'm sure there are men that want to be with women that don't care how many sexual partners they've had. For those who aren't familiar with the term, body count refers to the number of sexual partners a person has had. What even counts as a high body count? 2 partners, 10 partners, 20, 50, 100? Can a body count ever be too high? Yes, but for both sexes. I've met people who think that 1 is too many, and that's their prerogative. It's not that deep, man. I think that there's people out there who unironically get really, really mad when 1 is too many. They want a virgin, which is really statistically impossible in this day and age, anyway. Let's say somebody has a body count of 50, but they've been sexually active for 20 years. That's the average of 2.5 partners a year, which in theory isn't a lot. What the f do you mean isn't a lot? 2.5 fricks a year? I feel like that's pretty decent, man. That means you're not taking breaks either. On average, maybe you took a break for like a year. Compulsively sleeping with people for validation, low self-esteem, and putting yourself at risk is an issue. Yeah, it's a red flag. That's why people aren't inclined to be with someone who sleeps with a lot of people. Yes, that's kind of a problem. I also, by the way, not for lack of not judging someone for having a high body count, it's more so like, hey, maybe they can't commit because they're sleeping with so many people. It's not about my opinion of like empowerment or whatever. It's just like, it's a red flag of, hey, maybe you're gonna try and pork someone else. Maybe I'm not that guy or that girl for you. I would still think of this as the same thing if I was trying to date a guy. I would, genuinely. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, this guy banged like 100 chicks. I'd be like, I'm sorry. I don't think you're for me. You could be completely ignore the whole getting ran through until you resemble a hallway. Why are my mods like this? High body count is a red flag. You're probably impulsive, can't settle down, more likely to cheat, inability to be intimate. The list is endless. Yes, when you have high body counts, you start to dissociate. There's the issue of safety, especially for women, especially if she's sleeping with random men that she's just met. They could be psychos and murderers. Also, there's risk of catching STIs for both sexes. This is kind of fucking out of nowhere, by the way. This is out of freaking nowhere. They could be psychos and murderers, yes, and so can women, just in a different way. They might not impulsively, you know, hurt you physically, but mentally damage you? Yeah, I think women are just as capable. I met some crazy women. Sleeping with so many partners for both sexes can lead to issues in a relationship and dissatisfaction with sex. Sex can easily become mechanical and meaningless if you have that many sexual partners. Okay, at least they're honest in this article. Still, even if people have had 100 or more sexual partners, it doesn't make them a bad or immoral person that isn't worthy of relationship or love. Yes, you're right, but it doesn't mean that someone else has to take care of your potential damage. I don't know if this is like a harsh comparison, but like there are damaged animals like dogs and cats that need to have a very loving, understanding family to deal with their problems. Not everybody is suited for that. Look, the patience, not taking care of them when they're displaying problems, like not everyone has that ability. And I think that the higher your count goes, the more likely you're probably gonna have to meet someone that can deal with your psychological issues or mental problems. Maybe so let's just say this. You have slept with 100 people. One of them, like, unironically, full-blown, we can't argue in court, one of them R-words you. Like, essays you. What if one of them unequivocally actually damages you physically and mentally, and then you have to deal with that as a partner with the other sex or with the same sex? Like, it sucks. It's the same thing. Like, it's just, you're amplifying the risk and the chance of it happening. Why take the risk? There's always a risk, obviously, but if you do it 100 times, you're more likely to get unlucky, sadly. Women with a high body count aren't dirty, ruined, or unsuitable for a long-term relationship. Also, for many people, promiscuity can be a phase. It can be a positive and be a part of self-discovery, or it can be a negative and a way to cope with trauma or low self-esteem, just like drinking and doing drugs. I disagree. I don't think that it can be positive and be a part of self-discovery. You don't need to have a lot of sex to figure out what you want. There are plenty of people who are happily married who only have sex like once or twice with like 1 or 2 different partners. And also you can have a beautiful discovery between 2 consenting adults that have only had coitus with each other, and you can do and consent to things instead of doing it with multiple partners, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm bad at explaining, but without directly saying it, you know? I don't think you're dirty or rude, but for the same reason, if I owned a business, I think twice about hiring a convicted felon. For a wife, I'd think twice about marrying a hallway. But you're likening. Here we go. People are gonna give me so much shit for laughing at that and reading it out loud. People be like, oh my god, you're likening having lots and lots of sex to being a criminal. I don't think it's a crime. I just think it's a red flag. Again, being a petty theft criminal doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just you might be more likely to steal again. You know what I'm saying? It's very possible to discover yourself with someone you trust too. That's what I'm saying, like, personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being bad at, like, kissing or having coitus or doing things with your partner if you're discovering it together. I don't think that's a bad thing. And I hate that. Me, personally, I experienced this when I was a kid, like a teenager. People pressuring you to basically be with someone, because if you're not with someone, you're like a loser, essentially. And I felt that peer pressure, and I'm sure boys experience that too. And I don't think that's healthy for, like, young people to experience, to feel like pressure to basically have sex or have a girlfriend or have a boyfriend. Because you're, I won't go on a tangent, but, like, you get my point. You get my point. Most people that have a high body count do want to settle down with one person, but why should we remain chaste whilst we're waiting for the right partner? In this day and age, it's much easier to have sex than get into a relationship. Many guys don't want a relationship. Yeah, because there's lots of women that want to have sex now instead of having a relationship, and this is the pendulum swinging the other way. Yeah, I don't want to say, like, I told you so, but I told you so, man. I think it's just a consequence of what's happening in the world. Lots of women think that having a fling will lead to a relationship, as opposed to developing a relationship and then doing the coitus is, like, part of the relationship. I think it's tainted. That viewpoint has been tainted a lot. Women don't provide the things that make them relationship worthy anymore in a lot of ways. That causes men to distance themselves. Yes, because men are a lot more logical. They will not try and figure out, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's just that men are not extremely emotional creatures. If they see women, like, putting up a hand and being like, halt, I don't want to put in effort because men are pigs, They don't go asking like, hey, why are men or pigs? They'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and I'm just gonna do my own thing. And that's like the response to like woman liberation and body positivity and all that, like, you know, everything that came with it. Or find someone else. Yeah, you're right. Find someone else. Misogynists would argue that they don't want a relationship with a woman with a high body count, but A, how can they possibly know a woman's body count if she doesn't reveal it? Usually, you can kind of tell, especially if you ask and they get defensive. I don't know, I don't want to say like, oh, it's obvious, but sometimes like if you just ask the question, like for me, for example, if I had a partner and they asked me like, hey, what's your body count? I would just answer honestly. I have nothing to hide. But if you get defensive, that means that you feel almost like wrong about it. Why only misogynists? Yeah, what if you're not a misogynist and you just want to know? Men not wanting relationships isn't anything to do with how sexually active a woman is. What? Wait, what? Men not wanting relationships isn't anything to do with how sexually active a woman is. I don't know about that. Again, I would care if a man had a body count of, say, 50 at age like 30. I'd be like, what the f? I'd be like, damn, do you have problems? Maybe we have like issues we should talk about? I don't know. That's just me. Just putting my hands up there. That's my opinion. And there are men who would still be with a woman who has a body count of 50 or more. A woman who can refuse to have sex with a guy who doesn't want a relationship, she could be a virgin for all he knows, but guess what? No, you're not gonna play that game. Hold on. When I was younger and I went to high school, there was obvious tells when a girl had done the deed with a boy, okay? They usually either tell their friends or they act different. It's genuinely not that hard to tell. And as your body count increases, there are tells. It's just very obvious because you have more experience. You're more open to like just talking about it, I guess, even. And also, you can also say, like, if you're bordering 100+ people by a certain age, I would honestly qualify that as a risk to, like, sex addiction. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but there are qualifiers for sex addiction as well. And that's usually, like, also another underlying issue psychologically. It's a myth that men desire a woman who doesn't put out easily. I mean, I don't think a man should be freaking crawling on his hands and knees to get a crumb of pussy. I don't think that's good either, but playing hard to get is kind of part of the game. I don't know. From my experience, it doesn't make a jot of difference. Oh, here we go. Monica, your anecdotal experience does not mean that you are you're the like ambassador for women who have lots of sex and for all women in general. I've turned down guys as advanced for sex because I didn't know them and I didn't feel comfortable having sex with a rando. They had no idea about my body count. Yeah, because they don't care, because you're just a piece of meat to them. You're just like a hole. When I refused to sleep with them, it didn't make them go crazy and see me as girlfriend material. Yes, because... Oh... This is so disingenuously framed. I bet you it's because she's one of those people that had lots of one-night stands, and if they don't put out, then they don't get mad. They'll be like, okay, I'll go find another, like, girl to hook up with. She's not talking about dating a guy and investing time into him. Like, I understand. Okay, imagine your scenario. You're with a girl and she says, no, I don't want to have sex yet. Let's go on like a second or third date. Would that put you off as a man? I genuinely don't think so. Like, as with my chat, if you're investing into a relationship, you wouldn't get mad at her for not putting out on the second or third date. But if you're like trying to hook up with a girl, you wouldn't get mad at her either because it's just a hookup. Like, go find someone else. it's just like, I don't know, weird little interaction here. I have a theory about the men who shame women for having a high body count. They're just jealous because they're not getting any action themselves, and the misogynist answer is always to blame the women. I'm not even a misogynist. Like, I'm just putting myself into a man's shoes. Like, if I was a dude and I had to talk to someone who just... Oh my gosh, this is outrageous. They're always blaming women. They can't stand women who have a high body count because it emasculates them. Here we go. Here we go. Emasculate. Nobody's emasculated. They just don't want to be with you. Here we go. Monica's real upset. Emasculate. You're emasculated, chat. You don't want to sleep with someone who has 100 men or women. Means you're emasculated. You have a small pee-pee. Toxic masculinity teaches men that sleeping with loads of women is the epitome of masculinity. Yeah, so why do we have a loneliness epidemic about men basically not having sex and our birth rates are dropping? Gee willikers, that kind of almost blows this out of the water, huh? When a woman outdoes a man, it's a huge dent to his ego. Oh my god. It's time to grow up, misogynist, and stop throwing your toys out of the pram because your ego has taken a boo-boo. In what world does a man get upset with a woman for outdoing their body count? I feel like maybe that's in a world where in frat culture or like with boy-on-boy culture, where having a high body count could be a possible scenario where you're trying to outdo each other because you're just dented men. You know, you have a lot of testosterone, you gotta prove yourself. No, I understand what she's trying to go for, but men don't think like this about women. It's more about picking a mate, not about outdoing one another. It's not about sex and loneliness epidemics because these kinds of women don't actually want a real relationship and attack men for us complaining they don't want a committed relationship. That's what's kind of mind-blowing to me. It feels like this is personal. Man, even in the article, you proofread, you get to think about she can't control her emotions, the author's just punching air. This is the argument in her, she wins in the shower. Yes, this very specific paragraph is like screaming at me like she got upset at some point when a guy said, sorry, I don't want to sleep with you because you've had a lot of sex with other men or women. A common theory why some men can't stand women with high body counts is because they feel insecure about their own sexual performance. That is a complete blatant lie. That is such a lie. When men goon and have sex, they're not thinking about their feelings. Like, let's be realistic. Men are just having sex to get off. Like right now? Yeah, like right now. No, chat, like, am I wrong? I know I'm speaking for like men, but like in my opinion, I've read stuff online. I don't think men think that deeply during sex about their sexual performance because the woman in front of them has had a high body count. They just plow and then they're done. I haven't seen men the same way. I'll have to disagree with you there, Alana. Why? Do you really think about all the other men that have had sex with the woman that you're trying to have sex with? No thoughts, head empty? Because like someone disagrees, that's fine. I mean, maybe that's your issue, but I don't think a lot of people think like that. I usually don't think about men during sex with women. Exactly! Like from a primal rhetoric, I don't think that men think like that. It's not a normal thing for someone to think about. With women, you're more likely to feel self-conscious because women are emotional creatures. Alana, can you please write an article? No, I don't want to talk about. I would get so much hate for writing an article about how women are overreacting and freaking out about sexual liberation. And by the way, to the point, hold on. If you're self-conscious about your performance in the act at that moment, you wouldn't even want to have sex with them in the first place because that would make you feel put off, no? Like, why are you thinking about it? Like, wouldn't you already went through the first goal of, like, not being with the woman or the man? If you feel that strongly about it. I don't think about the other men, but wanting to make a good account of myself is very much on my mind. I don't know, man. I think that's a skill issue. Again, sex should be an intimate thing. You shouldn't be thinking about other people. I'm sorry, like... I don't want to be mean. Again, that's your prerogative. Of course, that's your opinion. I don't think you're wrong for feeling like that, but I feel like the vast majority don't feel like that. Yeah, in the moment when you're doing deed, I don't think it's healthy to be thinking about, if you're a girl, thinking about, oh, he's plowed so many women. Like, I don't think that's healthy, sorry. Wanting to perform is normal. Wanting to top the leaderboard is not normal. Exactly! That's good. That's actually a good way of putting it. Yeah. Ba 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 ba. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't want to disappoint someone I really care about. But you shouldn't be thinking like that in the first place. I'm glad we're having this talk. Chatter, there's nothing wrong with what you're saying. I just think that it's not healthy for you to think like that. I want you to find a partner that's nice and doesn't make you feel like you should be topping the leaderboard, like that other chatter said. Yeah. It can happen, well, maybe once or twice, but not all the time, every time you have sex. Anyway, jeez, what am I yapping on about? I haven't even finished the article. Let me speedrun this a little bit. A common theory why some men can stand with high body counts is because these men feel insecure about their own sexual performance. They see women with high body counts as more experienced, which is not always the case, sure. And they fear that she will judge them. Here's a newsflash: women with low or no body counts can still think you're crap in bed. There's a flaw in that because you know it's crap because you're both inexperienced. The guy I lost my virginity to was definitely crap in bed, and I had no prior experience. Yeah, that's okay? Like, what? This seems really personal. Anyway, maybe instead of feeling insecure, communicate openly with your partner about how you can both increase your pleasure and enjoyment in the bedroom. Most misogynists are selfish in bed and put themselves first! Whoa! That's a big brush to friggin' smear all over everyone. Jeez Louise. Someone's a little bit insecure. Wait, how would you know they're a misogynist? Right off the rip? Why are you sleeping with a misogynist? How do you know that? Have you slept with a lot of misogynists just to get back at them? Anyway. Another reason that some men are put off by high body counts is because these men are not that sexual themselves, and they fear a woman with a high body count will have a higher sex drive. That kind of ties in with my sex addict, not theory, but like my sex addict, like higher body count can increase your chance of having a higher sex drive and being a sex addict. Did you see women are more horny than men? No, she's implying that if you sleep with a lot of men or women that you have a higher sex drive. which doesn't really make sense to me. This has no scientific... I don't know, I've never heard of this. Maybe because I didn't go outside, but like, anyway. This is a reason that men won't admit to themselves because not having a high sex drive isn't seen as masculine. But wait. There's a lot of people who scold and chide men for being horny and wanting to have relations with women. Like, this doesn't make sense when I actually put thought into it. Yeah, like the self-control should be there, obviously, but like when there's always women that say like, oh, men are just so horny all the time. Whenever I look at them, they just pop a boner. This seems like a really big double standard in my opinion. I feel like she's a misandrist or whatever that word is. I forget how to pronounce it. Misandrist? For those men that do have a high sex drive are put off by women with high body counts, you do realize that a woman who has low or no body count may not have a very high sex drive. Where are you getting your, like, what evidence is there? There are so many horny women online who are single, who post about wanting to do the deed all the time. What are you talking about? Why be in a long term with someone whose sex drive doesn't match yours? Yeah, I sure. I mean, that can have relationship issues. I'm not ashamed of my body count and I'll never hide it. My body count is 12. I've been sexually active since I was 18 and I'm 32, so that's 14 years. That's not even one partner a year. Again, that's not insanely high. That's not like 50. But not even one partner a year. That's... I don't know. You're still young, but I would still say that's a decent amount. I don't care if men think that's a lot, but that's why you're writing an article. I don't have any STIs. I practice safe sex with protection, and I only sleep with guys I know and feel safe around. I even went through a period of being celibate for 5 years because I wanted to wait to be in a relationship. Whoa. Hold on there. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. You said you went celibate for 5 years, but then you do the math of... That doesn't make any sense. That means that you had more than one partner a year. Yeah, cut the math out of the 14 years. That means it's 12, but it's 9 years. I did have sex again in a relationship, but it didn't work out. I slept with my ex-boyfriend after 3 or 4 months, only to discover that he wasn't into normal sex. Jesus, dude. He had very disturbing fantasies. The first time we were intimate was so terrible that he made me cry. My ex was also a malignant narcissist. Oh my god, dude. I don't even know what to say. I feel like this is an insane trauma dump. Girl, you should have dumped him the second you had bad sex with him. That's not good. It shattered my illusion of waiting and being virtuous. It made me realize that sexual compatibility is so important and a guy won't respect you anymore if you make him wait. So you had one bad experience after waiting, so now you just want to have sex a lot because you want to find out if guys are compatible with you? I mean... Yes, girl! Yes, queen! I also stopped caring about what guys thought of me and put my own needs first. I'm not a whore or a slut because I have needs that are natural and human. There's nothing wrong with indulging on the odd occasion. Ah! So you're likening sex to a reward or like an end goal of satisfying your needs. Whereas some people see sex as something that you work towards. Like let's be realistic. Gooing and beating off is you giving into your needs. If you withhold yourself and don't beat off 24/7, that's you having control. I don't know. Again, you don't need sex. You're not going to die not having sex. That's not food, water, and like sleep. Sounds like a sex addict to me because she is talking about it being a vice. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I certainly don't sleep with every guy I'm interested in either. This may be because I want to get to know him more first, am interested in him more than just sexually, and want to build a connection, or sometimes I'm just not in the mood. So, man, that is so much to unpack, man. Chad, this is fucked up. What if the guy that she's with is trying to build a connection and then she's like, no, stop, I just want to have sex with you. Because she's like in a bad mood, or he reminds her of her ex. I'm not trying to justify anything to myself or anyone else. All I'm saying is that my sex life and body count is my business and I do what makes me comfortable. I have standards. You have standards, but you were with a guy that was abusing you and made you cry. Okay. All I'm saying is that my sex life and body count is my business and I do what makes me feel comfortable. I have standards. Having a high body count doesn't mean you'll sleep with anyone or that you don't respect yourself. No, but it's a red flag to some people and that's their prerogative. They're allowed to say no to you. As long as you're not having sex in order to self-destruct or not putting yourself at risk emotionally and physically, why would anyone give a frick? But you are risking yourself emotionally, though. She literally just described a situation where she had a bad time. That's a risk. We shouldn't allow deeply insecure misogynists to keep on spreading their poisonous agenda, which only serves to boost their incredibly fragile egos. Chat, I'm a misogynist, apparently. Again, if a guy told me that he was porking a woman and she made him cry and then he kept being with her, I feel like I would be like, my dog, I'm sorry, I hope you work yourself out, king. I do not want to be with you. That's a lot of baggage. I don't want to deal with you. I'm sorry. I feel like, am I bad for that? For not wanting to deal with baggage? My ex used my arms like an ashtray and tried to hit me with boiling water a few times, but you saw me writing a damn drama article about women bad. She should see a psycho doctor. Oh, a psychiatrist? That's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that, chatter. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay. Again, I don't think all men are bad. I don't think men are bad. I don't think women are bad, but the ones that write articles and try to glorify themselves as like, yes, my liberation, my body count, my, I hate misogynists and men that think that saying no to me is bad. It's like, girl, that is not it. She's trying to be a martyr. Yes, this really sounds like she's on a pedestal. Monica, get a grip. I mean, this is a good article overall to just, you know, make light of. Whoa. Are these comments? Are these real? Oh my god, I think they're real people. Hold on. Jonathan, Stephen, Henry. Oh my god, these are real people. Read them? I will. I'm sick of men moaning about how unattractive women with high body counts are and how they aren't relationship material. Men are allowed to moan about and reject any woman he wants for any reason he wants. Based. Choice and freedoms aren't just for women. Throwing the magic word misogyny after everything you disagree with is intellectually lazy and you're free to feel that way, I would assume. That makes no difference to how men feel about body counts. Yes, and I'm the one that's preaching for equality. If a guy says that to me, I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm sorry. You're such a hypocrite. Last month, those that practice consensual non-monogamy were the scum of the earth. Now you're saying don't judge women for having a high body count. Wait, she wrote a article about consensual non-monogamy being really bad? I don't think it's anybody's business how many people they've slept with, and I don't really think that people should even tell each other whom they had sex with, because it really doesn't matter unless one of the people's involved is still in love with the old partner. Jonathan, I think you would care a lot more if your future wife-to-be had 100 peepees in and around her orifices. If she was straight up honest with you and then you said, okay, I'll still be with you, like, that's your prerogative, that's your life. I just think that not being honest with your partner will always end up with issues. Oh my god, there's even more. Holy shit. This article shows how there are double standards between men and women. Society finds it acceptable for men to have high body counts, whereas women are deemed immoral and undateable for engaging in the same exact behavior. No, I think that 99% of women that I've interacted with in my life think that if you have a lot of partners, you're also more likely to have diseases because of probability and statistics and education as well on safe sex. I just don't think this is I think if anything, I think she's the double standard of just yelling and screaming into the void about how all men are pigs, essentially. I'm proud of you for sharing your story and not being ashamed for your body count. It's important to remember that everyone's experiences are different. There's no shame in having a high or low body count. What matters the most is being safe, responsible, and doing what feels right for you. But there's an inherent risk to having a lot of partners. You're more likely to meet crazy people. Okay, even on a basic level, if you do not have sex with someone that you have a relationship with, the more relationships you have, the more likely you're going to hit the bad lottery of having a bad partner who abuses you. That's just how it is. That's how people are. No shame in having a high body count, but as sure as hell I'm gonna shame you for typing stupid shit on the internet. No, I can't stand the whole, like, misogyny, you know, frick you. Frick men. Men get called fuckboys and shamed by normal people, so I don't know what this double standard is. There are men who will say go off king for a high body count, but it's two sides of the same coin. There are women who will say to each other go off queen for a high body count. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've heard people saying, like, oh, you're such a fuckboy. You've dated like 10 girls in like 3 years. I've heard both sides. Women who fuck around like their male counterpart are deemed sluts, whereas the males are, yo, that's cool, bro. I don't think a lot of partners are bad. Just be safe about it. Yeah, but ultimately, the more partners you have, the more likely you're to find someone who's fucking crazy. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I think, like, oh, you can have safe sex or safe practices. You can always find someone who's insane, and then you're also letting them into your world, into your safe haven. I don't know. I think that it's inevitable to be impressed with men who have a lot of sexual partners and to be wary of women who have a lot of sexual partners. Admit it, if you had 18-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, you would be impressed if he was the college freshman sex champion. No, I wouldn't. If I had a son and a daughter and I found out that my boy was having lots and lots of sex, I'd be worried that he would get an STI or something. Or a lifelong STD that he has to deal with. Man, this is weird. This is some weird double standard shit. This is just assuming that everyone thinks like them. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, or actually, really good point. You know, Chatter just said this. Disease or chance of knocking a girl up. Yes, not all. The only foolproof way of not knocking up a woman is to not have sex, period. That's 100%. Like, even with, you know, what is it called? Like, with those high chance of not having a baby. What are they called? Friggin'. Fuck. I'm spacing out. You know the ones that they put in the arm, or like, you know, they fucking put in your coochie? Contraceptives, I know, but I was specifically talking about, oh, IUD. IUDs, yes. If you have an IUD, that's still a chance that you can get pregnant. Like, it's not a foolproof thing. It's not 100%. Like, there's still a chance, even if you have, or is it IED? Yeah, I don't know. IED, sorry. What do I fucking know? You need to get a therapist instead of writing dumb shit online. Or maybe you should keep writing dumb shit online because it's funny for me to read.